here. Got my mat in that one. Morning, guys. All right, let's do that. I think I can go back. And I'm disturbing the dog, so if you get bumped, don't be shocked. All right. Keiko, baby, can you move, please? Just a little bit, monkey. Hi, Sandy. Good morning. I don't know who's over here, but good morning to you as well. So, Sandy, there's a button that says bring them on camera over on Facebook Live. I don't think anything happens if I hit it, but do you mind if I try? Good morning. All right. Oh, I don't know what's happening. See what happens, Sandy. Let me know. I would love to be able to see you guys when we do this. I love that we're together, right? And I know you're there. But for all I know, you could be like, I don't know, doing your dishes or something, right? And that's cool. I mean, if that's how you want to interact, that's totally, absolutely fine. But it would be really fun to be able to see you so we can interact a little bit better. And I'm good, Paul. Thanks. How are you? But yeah, if we could, have a little bit of back and forth, it'd be so much more fun. Because I know some of you guys I don't see anymore. And, because I've just got the 2 classes now and none of my private classes. So I miss you guys. I miss you guys. You see, Karma's ready. All right, and it's almost time. So today I want to work on hips. Good. Any inversion, inverted bicycle, and shoulder stand, plow, and feet. Okay, I actually have a little something like that in mind. Not necessarily plow. There are a few things that I'm really not super comfortable teaching, even in person, because there's usually too many people to really keep my eye on. And then there are certain things that when we're virtual and I can't see you, I'm not super comfortable doing that too, because I don't know that you're safe, right? And you probably are. Hi, Cheryl. But I don't always go there. So I will offer things. If you feel like you want to go there, that's totally fine. If it's something that doesn't feel good, just kind of hang out in the progression, right? Because a pose always starts very simply, right? And then you keep adding, and then you keep adding, and then you keep adding, and then you keep adding. And if somewhere along the line something doesn't feel good, then you don't have to add anymore, right? And you shouldn't add anymore. Your body is telling you it's had enough. So I will throw a couple things in, and I'll give you the options on some other things too. So if that's where you want to take them, you're welcome to do that. So hips primarily, and a little bit of everything else, just so we're well-rounded and we can start our day, right? So let's come over onto the mat. We're going to sit. If I can get the dog up. All right. Thank you. All right. So you can hear me okay, and if at any point you can't, or there's some weird technical difficulties, I know YouTube kicked me off one day for a minute. So just if you can hang in there with me. So let's start with the heels aligned. Take your inner thigh rotation. Sitting upright on the pelvis. We're going to be here for a little bit, so if it helps to hang on, certainly. If you want to sit up on a prop or a folded blanket or something, that's totally fine as well. Engage your belly, lifting the pelvic floor, lower belly in and up, sitting tall for your sides. Relax into your hips and shoulders. Let the arms be heavy. Trying to relax into this inner hip a little bit. And then extend out through the crown of your head. So those pieces of your body are moving in opposite directions. Closing your eyes. Bringing the awareness inward. And as much as possible with the distractions of maybe not having the perfect space or having to listen to something going on here as well, right? Just try and keep the focus inward. So if those distractions do pop up, it doesn't take you so far away from your practice. Bringing your awareness to your breath for a moment, just simply watching what's happening. Being thankful for that breath. And then gently beginning to expand. Eventually finding a nice, full, just beyond comfortable place. Making the breath just a little bit of a stretch. We want to maintain this inward focus. We want to maintain this nice, full, smooth breath. And we'll add in some movement here. So extend the arms out to the sides. With the inhale, stretch them up. And on the exhale, bring it back down again. We'll do that again. And then one more time. Inhale back up to the top. And then exhale just the left hand back to the mat. Give yourself a little tip over to that side. Take a nice big breath here. And then inhale, come on back up to center. Exhaling over to the right. Let's bring it back up to the middle. One more time, take it over to the left. Find that little bit deeper stretch here. Coming back to center on an inhale. Over to the right one last time. Inhaling back to the middle. And then exhale, release the arms. So let's take a little baby twist here. Bring the left hand to the right knee, right hand just back behind the back. Gentle, easy twist over to the right. Find upright on your pelvis, lengthen up through the crown of your head. And then come on back to the middle, take the second side. So keeping the integrity of the spine as you gently twist. Come on back to the middle. And then over to that first side again. Let's work a little bit deeper into this one, using the arms to help support the body. Keep the spine nice and tall. Rotate around from the belly, through the side ribs. And the shoulders looking over that right shoulder there. And then we'll release that, unwind back to center, take your second side. Using the arms, working around, making sure you're breathing. See if you can find some extra space in your spine even. And then we'll release that back to the middle, bringing the hands to the knees. With the inhale, draw the shoulder blades together, lift your chest up toward the ceiling, and then let's round it. Drop the chin, tuck the tailbone under, see curving the spine. In and out with the breath. Just like with the twist, working a little bit deeper as you go. We'll take one more flow like that, in and out. And then let's find the middle. So sitting up nice and tall then. Let's take the fingers behind the back. We're going to interlace them there. And then draw the knuckles toward the floor. And they probably pretty easily touch here, right? So up nice and tall. Keep the shoulders back and see about hinging forward. So think belly button to heels. And you can stretch the hands away. Maybe they still touch the floor. Maybe they don't anymore. You can lift the hands away from the lower back if you like here. Just kind of playing with that, but mainly working into the hips, the lower back, that kind of idea. Nice full breaths. And then hinging back up again. Before you release your fingers, which thumb do you have on top back there? Release that. And then switch which foot you have in front. We probably always sit the same way, right? Or at least usually. We have our favorite side. So when you switch that, it feels a little strange. So make sure you're upright, your spine is tall, that's most important, of course. And then we're going to interlace the fingers with the other thumb on top. So all kinds of backwards. Draw the shoulder blades together, lengthen through your spine, and hinge here. So again, the knuckles reaching away. The hands on the lower back, or not so much. Big full breaths here. Just notice the differences. And we've been here once, so maybe it's not as tight. It should feel a little different. We're going to take one more breath. And then let's hinge it up again. Release your fingers, and we're going to extend the legs out long. So just make sure you're still upright on your pelvis, your spine is nice and tall. Take the legs straight. So if that means sitting up on a little block or a roll or something, take the legs straight. Flex your feet, point your toes up at the ceiling, and really work to keep the feet active. That'll help the legs do what they need to do here. And of course, you don't want to be overly straight. So if you're one of those people that can lift your heels up off the floor, right, that might be overly straight. So keep your heels down. Lengthen through your spine. Let's inhale, reach toward the ceiling. We're going to hinge from the hips, come forward into a fold. Let your hands fall where they do. Remember, reaching for the toes is not necessary. Okay? And just allow your hamstrings to begin to work a little bit more here. After a couple breaths, maybe finding just a little bit deeper stretch. We'll take one more breath here in our first hold. On the inhale, make your way back up. And then release the arms. And we're going to work around onto hands and knees. So take your time getting there. Okay? Place your wrists underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. Hi, Mom. Good, fantastic. Four corners of the hands nice and even onto the mat. Belly is pulled in, supporting the back here. And then either the hands forward, a handprint or so, or the knees back, depending on where you're positioned on your mat. We're going to transition into a kneeling plank here. So the shoulders are down and back. We want to extend out the front of the head. Try not to let your hips droop or your bones stick up in the air. Find that middle place so that your body looks as if you were standing up, except for this weird thing that you're doing with your knees. So you can absolutely stay in a kneeling plank. You can lift the knees away from the floor here. We're not going to hold for forever. Make sure your belly's supporting your back. pressing through your heels so your legs kick in and do some work too. From there, lift your bottom. Let's come to down dog. And then just, wiggle and stretch like we always do here in this first down dog. And then allow yourself to just kind of settle into it, pressing into the four corners of the hands, make the arms kind of fire up a little bit more than they might have to. Pressing the chest back so you get that nice hamstring stretch, of course, your shoulders. Sinking the heels toward the floor, you may or may not touch. If you feel your knees lock here, have a little bend and maybe don't try to have your heels on the floor. Right? That's that hyperextending of the knee and it's just not that important. Right? So from here, we're gonna lift the right leg. And don't worry about high, we wanna keep the hips level. Sometimes when we lift the leg, the hip hikes. We don't want that here. Belly's pulled in. We're gonna work with the breath. On the inhale, shift forward, come into a plank. You can absolutely drop the left knee. And then back on the exhale, three-legged dog. So again, like that, forward. Make sure your belly's working. And back. One more time. Try not to let the hips get droopy. Back into your three-legged dog. Release the right foot. So let's switch sides. The same exact thing on this side. If you need a little break in the middle, take a little break in the middle. We're gonna lift the left leg. Again, working to keep the hips nice and square, the belly's pulled in. Shift forward on your inhale. Back on the exhale. Again, like that. One more. Back into the three-legged dog here. Release the toes back to the floor and go ahead and drop on down to the knees and take child's pose. So that's enough of a break for now. Come back to down dog. Walking the feet forward, let's come to a standing fold. And then getting a little bit deeper into our hamstrings here. Just allow yourself to kind of walk in place. Bend into one knee, press through the opposite heel. Back and forth like that. And then come to the center. Bend the knees if you'd like. Take your index and middle fingers, wrap them around your big toes here. And maybe the legs have to stay bent. It's fine. If you can take them straighter, take them straighter. Elbows out to the sides, either way, so we feel the shoulders open, right? We don't want to be reaching like we do in our seated fold. Okay? So the elbows are out. You can pull on your toes and give yourself a little bit bigger stretch even, if that's you. Keeping the spine long, nice and even on the four corners of your feet. And then release the toes. Bend the knees probably more than you had to before. And take the backs of the hands flat to the floor. So all the way to the wrist. And they can stay at the sides of your feet, of course, if that's where you're working. The knees are as bent as they need to be to make it happen. If you'd like, come from the tops of your toes here, pick up your right foot, slide your right hand underneath it, and then the same thing with the left. So toes are in the wrist crease, and we want to wiggle the toes maybe even a little bit, massaging the hands, right? Keep the back of the hand on the floor, you have this nice forearm stretch, of course, your hamstrings, right? Elbows out, you can pull a little bit, adding sensation if you still need to add. Take one more breath. And then we're going to release all that. Let's slide the hands up to the thighs and press away, come parallel-ish to the floor. Bring your hips right over your ankles. It's easier if you kind of hang back. Okay, but we want to stay aligned. So the hamstring should be working. If you need to support with your hands, support with your hands. Shoulders are back. Let's go ahead and bend into the knees, come to supported chair. So nice and even on the feet. Keep lifting your chest. Lean as much as you need to lean with your hands. You can center or extend wherever they're happy. And then instead of being on the four corners of the feet, come on up on your toes. Take one more breath here. And then inhale, stretch up to the ceiling, take the legs straight, try and stay on your toes, and then release it off. All right, so let's inhale, stretch the arms up. We're gonna exhale, take ourselves back over into that fold again. Inhale, come halfway up. With the exhale, step your right foot back into a lunge. So a nice big step back. You can definitely have the knee on the floor here if you'd like. We're just gonna roll around into our hips. Shift back and forth, circles, whatever works. Find a center here. Sweep the legs toward each other, even if the back knee is down. Bring the right hand to the hip. Let's rotate the belly toward the inner thigh. Turning the side ribs toward the ceiling. Take the shoulder back, maybe look up at the ceiling. Try not to let the right side droop and left side kind of sink over to the left. Stay really centered and square. And then we're going to release that, step back to down dog. With an inhale, shift forward, come to plank. Take the knees, if you'd like, elbows tight to the sides on the way down. Hands next to the side ribs when you get there. And then just inhale and roll your shoulders. Nice, easy little baby cobra. Release that. Belly up, chest up, back to down dog. And then the right foot's gonna step forward. Work your toes to your fingers all the way up to the top of the mat. Left knee to the floor if you need. Sweep the legs toward each other and bring the right hand to the hip, twisting to our second side. So again, finding stability in the lower body, just letting the upper body rotate where it will. Let's release that. Step forward into fold. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale back over again. Come all the way up, stretch to the ceiling. And then exhale the arms. Let's do it again. Inhale. And fold. Halfway up. This time the left foot's gonna step back, lunge. Big step back there. Knee down variation again if you want it here. Sweep the legs toward each other, bring the right hand to the inside of the foot. Engage arm and leg into each other for stability. Bring the left hand to the hip and rotate away from the inner thigh. So again, if you need the support, drop the knee, maybe prop up, yeah. And then release around, back into the lunge, all the way back down dog. Forward into plank, inhale. Exhale down to the belly, nice and controlled. Hands next to the side ribs, little roll, maybe a little pull this time. And then release back to down dog. So let's step the left foot forward. Toes all the way up to the fingers. Bring the left hand to the inside. Support with the arm and leg here, and rotate away from the thigh. Keeping the pelvis stable. And then releasing the twist. Step forward into fold. Halfway up. Exhale back over. And then all the way up. And release the arms. So one more time like that. Inhale. And fold. Halfway up. We'll step back with the right foot again. Nice big step. So knee down if you want. Sweep the legs toward each other. Let's climb up on the thigh. Press away from the thigh. Lift the chest. Pressing through the back heel. So the right leg is straight unless the knee is on the floor. You can support or extend the arms. And then we'll release, come back over into the lunge and into down dog. Shift forward to plank. Exhale to the belly. Inhale, a little roll or pull, maybe press, elbows in. Release back into down dog. And then the right foot steps forward. Work the toes on up there, drop the back knee if you'd like. When and if you're ready, climb on up. Bring the upper body as vertical as you can with that back leg as straight as it can be. Support or extend. Let's release that back over into the lunge and we'll step forward and fold. Halfway up on an inhale. Back over again. Let's come all the way up. Exhale, release your arms. All right. So from here, let's take a nice big step back with the right foot. Left toes point toward the top, the right toes are cut in a little bit here. Bend into the knee, look for your big toe. And remember, the back toes can turn in a little more or a little less. Maybe the back foot, the outer edge, even with the back edge of your mat-ish. So nice and even on your feet, you can see your big toe. The hips are level, the shoulders are level, and the arms extend. Stretching through your fingertips. Feel the body weight nice and even in your feet. Let's take that left leg straight. Reach forward of the toes as far as you can reach, and then let that hand fall, reaching up with the right hand. And you can lean on the shin or the thigh, even if that's where you are. You can prop up with a block if that's you. Keep the hips nice and open here. On an inhale, we're going to come back up again. Release the arms and step forward back to the top of the mat. So the same exact thing on the second side here. I'm sweating. So a nice big step back with the left foot. Check out your toes. Make sure they're pointing where they need to. And then bending into the knee. So remember, if this knee starts collapsing in, turn your left toes forward a little bit more. That's the issue. Even on the feet, level, and extend the arms. Nice easy breaths here. Let's take the right leg straight. Reach forward of those toes and then hinge over. So the belly's pulled in, the spine is nice and long here. The hips are kind of stacked. The shoulders are kind of stacked, right? Keeping the belly working with an inhale, come back up again. And we'll step back to the top of the mat. So we're going to take our balance pose here, our standing balance pose, and we may come back to it later and see if we can make it fancy. But let's keep it simple for right now. All the weight taking over into the left foot. Let's lift the right leg, open at the knee. So you have the option of tree, right, with your toes on the floor, calf, or the inner thigh. But maybe flex the foot and bring it above and just to the outside of your left knee. So either way, we want to hug the legs together. So you don't want to be on the knee joint, wherever this foot is, right? Hugging into the middle, the belly's strong, the hips are square. And the knee is in the same kind of idea, right? So where the foot is not that important. It's what you can take in the hip. So you can bring hands center. You can extend the arms if that's you. If you are in traditional tree, you'll want to stay upright. Yeah? If it's in front of, you can bend at the knee and come into like a one-legged chair type position, right? Let's take one more breath. With an inhale, stretch back to the ceiling and then release all of that. And then work the second side. And take the second side wherever it goes. Just because you did one version on the first side doesn't mean you can't try something different. Or take a step back on the other side for some reason sometimes, right? So all the way over to the right. Let's lift the left, open at the knee, and decide for now, you can change your mind, right? So decide for now where this left foot is going to go. And hug in. Right? Squeeze into the middle, tuck the tailbone, lift the chest, standing nice and tall wherever you got this leg. And then the hands maybe center, maybe extending. If you're in front of here, maybe bending the right knee. You're breathing, right? One more breath. And then stretch back to the ceiling and release it all. So it doesn't have to be any fancier than that. There are a million things you can add in, just like I was talking with all that other stuff. So let's go. Inhale, stretch the arms up. And take yourself over into a fold. From here, we're going to step back into down dog. Let's slide the left knee up behind the left wrist. So working in toward a pigeon here. The right knee is going to rest on the floor. Extend that leg as long behind you as you can. So that's your tail in this pigeon. So if your knee needs to stay more into the middle of your mat, totally fine. If you can open it out more to the left side of your mat, work with that. And then we adjust the foot. And maybe the toes can come a little bit closer to the left hand, maybe not. So just listen to your body. Hips are square and the spine is long. This can be it. Or you can drop on down maybe to the forearms or all the way down so the forehead's on the mat. Stacked hands, maybe a block. And as you sink, try and sink evenly. Right? So you don't want to feel like you're rocking to one side or the other here. You want it to be a nice, easy, even descend to the floor. So let's take one more breath here. And then we're going to make our way back up onto the hands. And gently make your way back to down dog. So let's go second side here. Bring the right knee up. And again, starting with it roughly behind the wrist. You can always adjust this if you need. Stretch your left leg nice and long back behind you here. Take the knee more open or more closed to the middle, toes forward or not. So each side's a little different. Find where the hips can be level and stable. And then if you'd like, come forward. So the same idea here, just nice and even. If you can adjust deeper as you hold, then go a little deeper. If your body says it's had enough or you need to modify in or out with this right knee, feel free to make those changes. Just because you get into a pose does not mean you are stuck there. Be sure to listen to your body. We're going to take one more breath here. And then gently make your way back to your hands and into that down dog. So let's go ahead and drop on down to the knees for a moment. Just giving the body a break. But it's a little one, so come back up into down dog. We're going to step the left foot forward and come to lunge. And let's go ahead and begin with the right knee on the floor. Taking the left hand to the inside of the shin here, the calf. Just like before, hug the leg into the shoulder back into the leg. We're going to keep the hips nice and square, so you don't be slinging off to one side or the other. And then see about bending into your elbows. So maybe the forearms will come to the floor, maybe no way. We want to keep the spine nice and long, so try not to just sit your hips back and round your butt up, or your back really, so that you can get your forearms down. It's just not that important, right? So sinking nice and even, hips toward the floor. So keep the idea of bringing the hips down. You may have to wiggle for a second anyway, but see about taking the left hand behind the heel here. So kind of winding underneath the shin. Knee-ish, right? So then see if you can wiggle your shoulder more behind your knee. And this is where you might have to maneuver a little bit, but you dig in there as good as it's gonna get. So you cannot fall forward. Take your left hand up off the floor. Hold the belly in, keep the hips nice and square, and then what about taking the right hand up off the floor? Can you lift your right knee up off the floor? For a second. And then release all that nonsense. Climb out from underneath and step back to down dog. Give yourself a little wiggle here. And then we're going to shift to the second side. Right foot forward. Left knee starts on the floor. Or if you can do all this crazy stuff with it up off the floor, you're welcome to do all that. We're going to drop into the hips. Bring the right hand to the inside of the foot here. Hug the shoulder and knee together. Same exact thing over here. Just begin to bend your elbows. And again, don't necessarily worry about how close your elbows get to the floor. Think about how close your hips get to the floor. And then keep the hips nice and low. Bring the right hand to the inside and under the leg here. So we're kind of underneath the right thigh, knee-ish. And if you can, wiggle your shoulder more behind your knee. And you reach that right hand out to the right. So that hand can lift up off the floor because that's not holding you up. Right? Keep your hips really square, the belly's pulled in, working. Maybe the left hand lifts. If you want to get all fancy, you can lift the left knee. And then release. And work your way back into down dog again. Let's go ahead and drop on down into a child's pose. See about maybe having your knees a little wider than normal, and maybe dropping your belly more between your thighs. Let's work back into down dog. Step the feet forward and come into fold. And then we'll take a little bend into the knees here. On an inhale, roll your spine all the way up. Coming to stand. And so then this is where we're going to work on that balance pose again. So it can stay as simple as it was before. Plain old tree, you can be near a wall, you can be hanging onto a chair, whatever you have available to you, of course, right? Or you can begin to add some of the extra pieces. So just see what happens. And the worst thing that happens is that the one foot has to come down to the floor and you start again, right? The worst thing. So let's take all of the weight. I forget which side I started on before. So let's just take all the weight over to the right foot. We're going to lift the left, open at the knee, and then again, you decide where that foot needs to be. If you're adding on, it's going to need to be in front. Right? So let's just kind of see where we go. So hug the legs toward each other, tuck the tailbone, stand nice and tall. Palms coming to center, they can extend. If you're in this figure four, you can again bend your knee. Maybe bring your elbows forward so that they come to the knee and ankle, respectively. And then, hey, the floor isn't that far away, so how about bringing your fingertips to the floor? So then you can play here, taking that leg straight. Or maybe taking the hands flat, probably a little bit in front of. Bending the elbows and sort of resting your shin on your elbows, or triceps really. So wherever you are, you have to get yourself out. Making your way back up. And then releasing all of that. All right? So tons of places to go from there. Okay? Take it where you want to go. All the way over into the left foot. Lift the right. Open at the knee. Bring this foot in. It may be plain old tree. Maybe you just used up all your energy there. Right? So hug toward each other wherever you are. So stand nice and tall. Palms at center, extending toward the ceiling. Whatever makes you happy there. Bending into this knee if and when you're going there. Staying upright, coming forward with the elbows. Maybe taking the fingertips to the floor. Left leg straight. Or leaving that knee bent, bringing the palms flat. And resting your shin on your triceps. So again, there's lots of places to be. Give it a go. If it's not where you want to be, you move out of it. We're going to take one more breath. And then gently work your way back up. Release it all. And sometimes it's all smooth and graceful and beautiful, and sometimes you're just happy not to fall on your face. Today. All right, so it's a win either way. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, nice and easy over into fold. And we'll step back into our down dog. Let's drop on down to the knees, take child's pose. And your knees may be open or not as much here, hands forward or back. Just let yourself kind of rest here and transition to the floor. So let's work a little deeper into the quad. come up onto your forearms and knees. And hands and knees, sorry. And then let's step the left foot forward. I was gonna try and incorporate the wall, but. So leave the hips nice and low and climb up on the thigh. So we were in a knee up variation before. If you have knee issues and you want a little extra cushion here, you can double up your mat. You can take a blanket or a towel or something to protect the right knee on the floor here. So ideally the hips are nice and low, so you're not really on the top of the knee, but in reality, a lot of times we are, right? The hips are just tight and that's how it is. So if you need that cushion or if this is just not for you, skip this next piece. We're gonna bend the right knee and the right hand is gonna reach back the foot. And then let your hips come forward again. So if you don't feel as stretched yet in your right quad, you can pull your heel closer to your hip. You can sink deeper into the hips themselves. Just kind of play until you feel this lovely little stretch. We're gonna release that side. And then make our way back to that all fours. And switch, bringing the right foot forward. Let the hips come low. And you can certainly already feel that stretch here. If that's where your tension is in the muscle, then you're done, right? You can climb up, and maybe that's where you're feeling it. Let's see. Again, cushioning the knee if that's where you need. Take that left hand, lift the left foot off the mat, reach back for your foot here. And again, maybe sinking forward. So just find where is enough. There's always a place that is enough. One more big breath. And then gently release what you got. Back into that all fours again. And from all fours, just sit around, legs back out front. So extend it out nice and long, just like we started here. Take your inner thigh rotation. Sit up nice and tall. Make sure your belly's working. Extend the arms. And let's come forward into fold. Just like before, let your hands fall. And if you touch your toes, lovely. If you still don't worry about it. So the shoulders are down and back. Spine is nice and long. On the next inhale, we're coming back up again. Release the arms. Let's take the feet flat to the floor. So you'll want to be far enough forward so that when we roll back, you have your mat back there to land on. Take and hang on to the backs of the thighs. Lifting your chest. Take your arms almost straight. Not quite. Keep the chest lifted, the belly's working here, maybe just lift your toes. You can use your arms more or less. Maybe take your shins parallel to the floor. And if that's not fun enough yet, take your legs straight. Hang on or let go. Keep the chest open and lifted. Bring the soles of the feet together and hang onto your ankles. Draw the heels in toward the groin. Keep lifting your chest, balance. And then go ahead and C-curve your spine and roll on down to your back. The soles of the feet are going to stay together, but let them come to the floor so the knees rest out to the sides. Let the inner hip and the belly, lower back, maybe if you're feeling that, let that all rest. And then we'll bring the knees back together and hug the knees into the chest. Give yourself just a nice little rock massage your back on the mat. And then keep the knees in good and tight to your chest here. Take your shins vertical so it kind of looks like you're stepping up on the ceiling. You can absolutely hang on to the backs of your thighs. Okay? You can grab a strap and put them across the ball mound of the foot, right? Or you can simply reach up with your hands and grab the feet. Whether it makes more sense to pull from the inside or the outside, entirely up to you. So the shins are still vertical. We're going to pull down on the feet so that we're drawing the knees down the sides of the body and maybe toward the armpits-ish. And just let yourself kind of wiggle into that. So you can rock back and forth. You can steer your body with your feet. You can draw circles, whatever's going on here. Can you rock enough to one side that that knee will touch the floor? But then you gotta get back up. And of course, you have to try the other side. So let yourself come to center then. We're gonna pull down on the feet, pull them in as good as it's gonna get. Or the backs of the thighs here, same idea. Keep the arms pulling down, but now use the feet to kind of kick back up into the hands. And of course the legs will win if you let them, but we don't wanna push quite that hard, right? Just enough to find a little push and pull. And when the feet push, see if you can turn your tailbone to point more toward the floor. And instead of rounding up through your spine, maybe coming to a bit more natural curve. Shoulders back, head relaxed. And then release it. Take both feet flat to the floor. And then from here, we're going to open the arms out into a T position. You can bend at the elbows for cactus if that's preferred. We're going to pick up the hips, move them over to the right edge of the mat, and let the knees fall over to the left. So just letting the legs relax to the side for now. You can look over your right fingertips, resting that right shoulder back, even if it doesn't touch the floor. If you want to add on, see about extending the right leg and take your toes maybe over towards your left hand unless your elbows are bent. That doesn't make any sense, right? But still try to let your shoulders rest back and let this leg relax to the side. So maybe it doesn't quite touch the floor. If you have a block, or maybe you can hold the leg up with your left hand even, right? And just let that side of the body rest. Sometimes when it won't hit the floor, it feels like you have to squeeze the muscles to hold them up, and you don't want to squeeze, you want to relax. Let's take one more nice big breath. And if you bent at the knee, and you took the leg straight, bend at the knee, and come on back up to center. We're going to switch sides. So take the hips left, and let the knees fall right. Same idea here, just adjusting and relaxing into your twist as deeply as you can. And then on this side, if you'd like, extend the left leg. whether the toes hit the fingers or not. Just let that leg rest to the side. You can support it up with the arm if that's working. We're going to take one more breath here. And then bending back at the knee, make your way back up to the middle. Drawing the knees back to the chest, let's rock a little bit. And then squeeze those knees into the chest nice and tight. Pull your forehead towards your knees, let your spine round up for a moment. Give yourself a big squeeze here. And then release that out into a full stretch. Fingertips all the way through the toes. And then release. Let your arms come back down by your sides. Make any adjustments that you want to here. So the body can be extended out on the mat. Feet can come flat. If you have a prop for your, some people like to prop their head or maybe behind their knees. If you prefer seated meditation, you always have a wall to scoot up against and provided you have a moment. Take your body to a place where it can just rest. Just a few moments. Releasing control of your breath here. But see if you can keep your mind on it. So simply spending a few moments resting and observing yourself breathing. If your mind wanders off, just bring it back. Just remembering to give yourself these few minutes after all the work that your body has done. Simply rest and absorb it all in. Slowly draw in a deep cleansing breath. And then let it all go. Gently begin to wiggle, move, and stretch. When you're ready, bring the feet flat to the floor. Gently roll yourself to the side and keep your eyes closed and the line nice and quiet. Gently press yourself up to seated. Let's bring the palms to touch. Bow into the light. Namaste. Thanks for coming to play with me today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. It is August 1st. It just occurred to me, only 2 more months of summer. We should be good, right? Well, for those of you in Florida anyway. So thanks for playing. If you have questions or ideas, right, any suggestions, for sure, you guys definitely reach out. Remember, I'm all over YouTube. You can get 30-minute classes on the website. There's some meditations. There's all kinds of good stuff. Take care of yourself. This is a crazy, crazy time. So visit anydayyoga.com. Visit the YouTube site. There's actually a link to the YouTube channel on anydayyoga.com. So if you haven't been over there, definitely check it out. Or on Facebook, I'll be here Saturday mornings live until, I don't know, until whenever. All right, you guys. So thanks again. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye.